Okay, so here we are, the car's up on the cribbing and we're getting ready to mount the car to the frame jig, but we've got to level off the car first and then level off the frame jig, then we can weld the car to it. As you just saw in the beginning of the video, draining out the oil pan, that was 2 or 3 gallons probably of water that came out. Thank goodness there was some oil above it. I'm hoping it didn't get up into, or it didn't sit inside the engine block, but that's for another day, another video. Now I didn't video the back end when I was lifting it up to get on the cribbing. It was just a floor jack with some 4x4s to the pumpkin, lifted it up, got the cribbing underneath. Front end you just saw, cherry picker, picked the car up. It's light with nothing, with the engine transmission gone, there's no weight on this. Just picked it up, no problem, slipped the cribbing underneath it there. My cribbing is at 17 inches. I built them out of just 2x4s and 4x4s all screwed together. All 4 are the same, 17 inches high. My floor here in the garage is off in every which direction. So with that, we're gonna have a lot of fine tuning to get this set. Off camera, I ran around and I did check all 4 tires. All 4 tires are the same size, so they're right now currently aired up at 35 PSI. I have a bunch of notes we're gonna be making, and the first notes we made was the air pressure. We're gonna try and keep the air pressure steady. The 2 right side tires leak pretty quickly, and the left sides, they got slow leaks in them, but they'll be okay. With that, let me go over what tools we're going to use and get into leveling the car off. All right, so here's what I'm going to use to level off the car and the frame jig, and that's just a 4-foot level, 2-foot level, torpedo level, 2 squares. The plumb bobs are going to come in later. Those are for getting the frame jig squared up to the car. We'll hang those from 4 specific locations on the car, square that up, level it off, and then we can start welding it. As you can see back there, the 2 cribbings for the rear tires do have blocks on them, front and rear, to keep the car from rolling off. Don't need them on the front here. And like I was saying, with the engine and transmission out of the car, the front end, I'm not really sure if you're going to be able to see it or not, but the front end is sitting up a lot higher than the rear. My measurements I got, when I was telling you about the 12 to 13 inches, are back here. It's coming off the rocker, bottom of the rocker here to the top of this. The car does have a ton of rust underneath it here. There's part of the seat coming out of the floor. So we've got to find specific locations that I can use. And I'm sure, sorry about the lighting here, but the car's not twisted and it's not been in a wreck. So we'll use specific locations and continue to use those specific locations to level off the car, get our notes, and then move on to leveling the jig itself. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see what I'm doing underneath it here. I tried to get some light under here so you can see what's going on. As I get these weeds out of here that have been on the car forever. So I can get in here. I probably could get the frame jig itself out of my way, but I got another car sitting in the driveway and I don't feel like moving it. So we're just gonna climb over everything the hard way and do this. The car, I looked around the car extensively, inside everywhere I could look, and it doesn't look, this car was never involved in a motor vehicle accident, so I'm not worried about the body being twisted, which is going to make it a little bit easier for me to get the measurements and get the car level off. So right now we're going to go off of the points right here coming off the trunk pan and where the floor pan meet, get ourselves with the 4-foot level on here on a spot where the rust, where the rust is not coming out and would interfere with the measurements. But anyway, get a measurement here and see how far off the car is on the floor. It's tight under here, so you have to excuse me. But come down this over here. You guys aren't gonna be able to see the ruler, but that. This might not be the easiest way to do it, but this is what I have and how I have to do it. So the car is, let's level, where are we at? We're at 5/8 of an inch off. Now this is the floor, not the car itself. So I'm gonna have to get the right side of the car up 5/8 of an inch. I'll make a note on that one. And we'll head up to the front of the car and check, see how bad that is. So we're 5/8 of an inch. Have to come up on the right side of the car. Let's head up to the front of the car. There's a little bit more room. All right, so here we are at the front clip, but the rear of the front clip, we're going to take a measurement off of here, maybe up front, and just see where the car's at there. The body mount bushings look the same. There's nothing missing, or one's not, lower than the other. So I'm comfortable with that being as even as it can be or as level as it can be. So again, with our notepad and our ruler, we get the level up on here on a spot where there's no rust protruding out or anything else. That laid on there. And it looks like we're going to be probably about the same for our measurements. Let's see. Where are we at? Close to the same at least. And we are, if I can hold that level there, again, no rust. Holding that as best I can here. And yeah, we're pretty much right on 5/8 of an inch again here. Let's see. Well, more. We'll go with 3/4. So we're at 3/4 on the back or the front side here. So we'll go with 3/4 on the rear of the front. And just because I'm already underneath here, we'll go and check the front of it and see if it's the same. So way, come here. It's kind of hard to see the ruler with that light in my face, but I'm gonna find a spot where I can do this. It's right about the same thing, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm comfortable with that. It's going to be close enough. So the front of it as well, 3/4 of an inch. We're going to move up to the front core support. I'm going to see if I can get a measurement off of that. I don't think so. It's too rusty and gone. But I'm comfortable with the measurements we have. And we'll start adjusting the right side of the car up. So with that out of the way, we can get a block of wood under this front tire. And then once we get them on there, we'll double check again the tire pressures. Now in doing this, if you're going to do this with your car, I don't suggest following the way I'm going to do it or the way I'm doing it. You do it the way you feel safe. I'm just going to go ahead and use a block of wood here and hopefully get enough room between the tire without lifting it up too high. Just going to use a 4x4 right here to the suspension, and we'll see and get that block of wood underneath the front tire. We really don't have to go too high, so that'll do it. It's a little bit more. There we have our 3/4 up front. I'm going to go to the rear and get the 5/8 inch plywood underneath of that side. Now we don't need as much room here. Get that underneath there. center it the best I can to the tire and come down easy. Now I just want to make sure I measure it in the same location. Not sure if you guys can see where I'm at. Right back on the rear again. And we don't even have to take a measurement. We are in between the lines and perfectly even right there. Maybe I will have to get under here, but we'll see. Nope, we're good. We're in between the lines. That's good. So getting the car level side to side, I thought was going to take a lot longer than it did. I was surprised. Everything is level now in our two spots that we marked. Now I got to work on getting the car level front to rear. But before I do that, I'm going to run around real quick. Like I said, I got to keep an eye on the tire pressures because they do leak. Make sure all 4 tires are 35 pounds again. Then we're going to work on front to back. And I was thinking, I don't know if it's going to work or not, but I'm going to give it a shot and you're going to find out if it'll work or not. Again, like I said earlier, just a little while ago, I don't want to lift the car up any higher than it is. I'm comfortable with where it's at on the back end. So what I'm thinking is lowering the front tire pressures down evenly to see if I can get the front of the car to come down. I want to keep the measurement from the rocker here to the floor, which will be the same to the frame jig at the end. But I want to keep that measurement the same, so I don't want to raise it any higher there. So I want to get the front end down, hopefully to match the rear. And if I could do that with just lowering the tire pressure, I don't have to jack the car up or put any more blocks underneath of it. Fingers crossed, but right now, let me run around again real quick, check all the tire pressures, make sure they're at 35, even though I just said I'm going to lower these. Make sure they're all 35, and then go forward from there. Still at 35. They should be. They don't leak that fast. It's usually overnight. That's down 1 pound. We'll put a pound in it. Actually, I might leave it the way it is right now because side to side is level. If I do that, it might change it. So we're back at 35 pounds there. Let's see what, again, this one was at. 15 pounds. Should have enough air left in my compressor to get this filled back up. This tire actually is leaking from the valve stem, and I've been super careful over the last few months to not break the valve stem because I don't want to have to go to a tire shop just to get a new valve stem put on there. Once I get this mounted onto the frame jig, I won't have to worry about it anymore. But being that this one was that far off, before I go any farther, I'm going to climb back underneath the car and check those two measurements, or excuse me, the side to side, front and rear, make sure it's still level. We're at 35 pounds with that one again. So let me get underneath and just double check those real quick. So the front, lucky for me, still level. Let's check the rear. Those two same points, making sure again, I got to stay off these leaf springs so they don't throw it off. And it's still level, so I lucked out on that, that's all I'll say. With those tire pressures being a little bit low, I lucked out on that. So we're still good side to side. Let me get out and work on the front, or the front to back now. So let's go with, so now the rockers, don't think that side, I think this side's worse than the passenger side, to be honest with you, but there's the normal, well, first off, you can see where the pinch welds are. Somebody kept using floor jacks or a lift or whatever and bent them all around, so we really can't measure off of the pinch weld area. But the rockers themselves are not too severely damaged. Now, the thing is, the car does have a slight curve towards the rear. The front doesn't, but again, we're just trying to get the car as level as possible. Once it's welded to the frame jig, it's not moving, and that's the whole point, is to keep it from moving when we start tearing the car apart. But getting them both everything level in the beginning is going to just better your chances of getting the car back together without worrying about gaps or doors not closing, trunks and stuff like that being off. So again, there's a dent right here. Somebody ran into something or ran over something, but the rocker itself is fairly good. We might have to do it a different way, but let's just see how far off we are on this here. And the front end is sitting, again, now I'm going to measure this. There's a, I don't know if you can see it on the video from there, but the body line, there's a body line that runs along here on the rocker. I'm just going to try and use that as a reference point and put these in the same location, or put this level in the same location, front and rear, and go from there. So looks good for there. Bring it out. Hold it right. And we are, well, with my thumb not in the way, I could tell you what we are. We are just at 2.5. Yep. 2.5 inches off from here to here, 2.5 inches higher, I should say, on that side, or on this side. Over here on the right side of the car. Now again, this rocker's got a dent here. It's pretty good all the way to the back. This whole back area is pretty good. And this point right here, there's a little weep hole for water. I used that as a spot I measured from on the other side. Again, here's the body line. You really can't see it because it's hard even for me to see. There's a body line right here in the rocker. So we'll measure off of that. Let's get this up there and hope that it's 2.5 inches. And if it is, we won't have to do too much to adjust this. So there we go. Get the ruler and now just line everything up. Two down. We're close enough. We're a 1/16 of an inch off. Yeah, we're a 1/16 of an inch off, so I'm okay with that. We're going to go with 2.5 inches on this side too. We're going to go ahead and try and lower the front tire pressures to get the car to come down 2.5 inches. And then I won't even have to worry about jacking anything up. If that works, we can move on to getting the jig itself leveled off and squared up with the car. All right, so fingers crossed here, lowering the tire pressure will get me enough room to get the car lowered down and get it leveled off here. So we'll start and figure out what we need, how much. That didn't go too well. That actually pulled the whole valve stem out. So we might have to rethink this. Yeah. While I was waiting for the air compressor to fill up, I figured the tire is as flat as it can possibly be. I'll show you here real quick. I was trying to take out the center of the valve stem and the entire piece came out of the valve stem. It's garbage. There's no way to get that to stick back into the valve stem. It's toast. But anyway, back to what I was sitting there thinking while that was down. Let me see where this is at with the tire completely flat. So I took a measurement, same spots again, which I should probably mark it with a marker, but I'm using the end of the level as my reference points. But anyway, so I took another measurement and the car is still sitting, the front is still sitting an inch too high, even with the tire completely deflated. Good note of that is I don't have to worry about fixing the valve stem to get that tire inflated. This valve stem, the entire valve stem is probably going to come out. See if we can get this to go a little bit quicker. All right, with two front flats that I cannot fix, let's go with same thing again. And actually, this is, the front end actually would have to come up now. Looks like about a half an inch. 3/4. Let me go check the other side with both tires flat, see if the measurements are the same. Okay, so with those measurements, we'll go ahead and, again, side to side, still good. I'm gonna lift the front end up. The rear end, it's about, what was it, 3/4 of an inch off with these two front tires now flat, and I can't do anything about it. So I'm gonna jack up the front end, get some wood underneath of here, 3/4 inch boards I got over there. We'll get it lifted up and see if it levels it off. Back under we go. Check again now that we have the 3/4 inch boards on the front tires. Same thing, the weep hole on the rocker back there, and we are now in between the lines. So with that, right here, I'm gonna check across for level. We'll check the other side. It should be level. And that is still level. If I can hold it straight. Check back here again. Oh, I can't see it. Make sure we're not touching the leaf springs, and we're level. So Pretty sure it's level on the other side, but I'm gonna go check it real quick and let you guys know. So with the car leveled off, side to side, front to back, now it's time to level off the frame jig, but I'm gonna first move it into position, or as close as I can into position of where I want it. Again, like I said, I want the front of it to be at the radiator core support, as well as the back to be where the rear shackles are for the leaf springs. For me, that's more important to have it there on the back side. The front, if I need to, if we run short, which we shouldn't, but if we run short, I can extend metal out and up to the radiator core support. But before we do that, I'm going to go and hang these 4 plumb bobs that I talked about earlier. We're going to hang them from each corner of the car and then get the jig and everything squared up as best we can with the car, and then start moving on to mounting the car to the jig. So for right now, I'm just going to eyeball it up. Like I said, I definitely want the frame jig to be underneath the rear shackle points. So I'm going to go back there, make sure that it's directly underneath of it, and then we'll see where the front lands. I built this to be the distance between the front core support and that area back there with the rear spring. So hopefully my measurements were right and it's right where it needs to be. Come back here. I'm going to eyeball it up back here first, and then we're going to lock it down and start leveling it off. After that, we can always take and just slide it around a little bit as needed by just hitting it, moving around the floor. It's not going to hurt it, but slide it around as needed to get it squared up, which will be the next step after leveling it off. And this kind of looks pretty good where we're at. Maybe a little bit farther back. So now that I have it back there where I want it to be, I actually have plenty of room up front here. So I might give myself a little bit more room in the back, because I have probably 3 or 4 inches. So I'm gonna move it back a little bit. I think that's good. I'll lock this wheel down as well. Looks good on both sides. So I'm going to start off with just getting the feet of the frame jig down on the ground, getting the wheels up off of it, which you can't see right now. You can kind of see the wheel over here. But we're going to start with just getting the front and rear off the ground, the wheels off the ground, and then we'll start leveling it off. I've got my short level here and my long level on the side. Start that off. We'll just go ahead and drop that and make a bunch of noise. And now we can just start spinning these down, getting them to where we want them to be. All right, that one's snug. Let me go to the other side, get that one. All right, that one's snug to the ground. I'm going to go do the same thing to the 2 front ones. Not sure if you guys can see all the way up here or not. I don't think so. But I'm just basically doing the same thing. I'm just snugging the foot down to the ground. And I'm going to come to the back again, and we're going to start picking this up off the wheels up off the floor. It's pretty close to being level. The right side needs to come up higher, but before we can even get to really specifically getting this set level, I have to get the feet or get the wheels off the ground. So that's where we're at now. Now, they don't have to be super far off the ground. Again, I want to keep within 12 to 14 inches between the frame jig and the bottom of the car. So I'm just getting them floating off the ground here, which, there we go. This one's floating, the wheel's spinning freely, so that's good enough for there. So, again, we're going to lift this side up till it floats the wheel, which the wheel is floating. So now we're going to go ahead and check, see where we're at here. We're pretty much still where we were at. I'm going to move up to the 2 front feet. Same thing that I'm doing back here. I'm just going to take the 2 front feet, lift them up off the concrete. Then we can start getting this all set. All right, so all 4 wheels are off the ground and spinning freely. Now we can start leveling everything off. Now I have the one level here, the front of it. I'm looking at it right now. You guys can't see me. I'm kind of right here in the middle, left side of the car. I've got my 4-foot level sitting here in the middle of the jig. Right now, the way it's sitting, the front just has to come up a little bit. But we're going to work on side to side again and then front to back. So back over here again. See which way we got to go with this one. Which we're going to have to lift up the right side about 1/4 of an inch maybe. Lift up the right side. Basically, it's pretty much almost the same thing we did with the car. Nothing has changed except now we're kind of leveling off the jig instead of the car. We'll work on the front, the rear, the right side of the rear and the right side on the front. Because that's going to be where our problem's at. And I can't see it either with that light in the way. Let's see what we got. There we go. A lot more. It's got to come up. I don't know if that helped you guys or not seeing the bubble, but all right, that looks good there. We run up front, do the same thing to the front. Front right side maybe is 1/8 of an inch off at this point right now. Now I'm going to go, I should have done this in the back. I'm going to go just past the line because we do have to lift up the left side of the car just a little bit. So I'm going to go just past the line. Give me a little bit of wiggle room, which I'm right on the line now. I'm going to snug up just with my hand, the left front. Come back, do the same thing. I'm not worried about front to back just yet. I'm still just trying to get side to side done to what I want. So what I did was I took and brought the bubble just over to the first line so I can adjust that side a little bit more. And do the same thing over here. Just on the line, and I'm probably gonna, yep, that one's pretty snug as it is, so we're gonna leave that the way that is right now. Side to side, we're good. The level, the bubble is still within the lines. I just brought it a hair over to the one side because I know we're going to end up having to pick it up again anyway. Now I got to go to the front and bring you guys over to the side level. I got to go over to the front and lift up the whole front, both sides, get that level. Okay, so now over here on the side, I'm not sure if you guys are going to be able to see the bubble or not, but it's just slightly past the front line. So we'll go ahead and go back, see how much we have to lift up the rear. Maybe a 1/4 inch or so. So I'm going to go to the rear 2 feet and start lifting up there, and we'll keep an eye on the bubble. See where we're at again. That's spot on. Looks good to me. I know you guys can't see, my big head's in the way, but I'm bringing you guys a little bit closer here. There you go. Spot on level. I'm going to go check the other side. It should be the same. No guarantees, but I'm going to go check the other side. Again, make sure there's no debris in the way for the level. Just in the middle. It's exactly like it was over there. Spot on. I'll check front and back. Now I'm going to check front and back with the 2 foot level. I'm not going to trust the torpedo level to be exact, but back end is still good. We're within the lines. Check the front here. Perfect. So we now have the frame jig, the jig itself, leveled and the car leveled. So now with the car itself leveled and the frame jig itself leveled, I'm going to go ahead and tie off the plumb bobs, get them to where I want them to be, make sure that the frame jig underneath is squared up to the car the best I can square it up. Before I start welding anything to the car though, I do have to remember I got to make sure those 2 back tires are at 35 PSI, which I'm sure they are not right now. That's not going to matter with getting this squared up. The car's not moving and the frame jig can't move anymore. The wheels are off the concrete. here we are in the front, and they're both pretty close to the same spot. Now, this is not telling me where I'm going to mount the car to this. It's just showing me the four corners. Now, we're going to have to move this to the right some. Which once we do move this to the, once we start moving this around, we'll have to have those levels with us again, because we're going to have to make sure everything stays level since this floor is so far off. You can see that one's landing almost center of the 4-inch square tubing. And this one here is over in the corner brace part. So again, we'll be moving that to the left side. So with this being the final step, this is not something you necessarily have to do. You could just slide your jig underneath the car, eyeball it up the best you can without any of these on there, and then weld the car or weld the vehicle to the jig. I'm just doing this myself to get the jig as straight as possible underneath the car. And that's just so when I roll it around or roll it in and out, it's just be a little bit easier to roll it in and out than the car sitting slightly crooked on there. So the measurements aren't as crucial as all the measurements we did with getting the car level and the jig itself level. So with that, I'm just going to move forward and get these close as we can. I'm going to move the front, the rear is going to move a little bit, go back and straighten the rear up. The rear is going to make the front end move a little bit. So we'll just back and forth enough to where they're close, and then that'll be the end of it. So to start off, just take measurements, see where we're at here. So I'm going to do this so you guys can see it. So we're at, and again, I'm not being exactly precise. I'm just rounding up or down. So right now we're at 5.5. Actually, if I get straight on the tape measure, 5 3/8. Come over here, see what we have here. And over here we're at 6.5. Visually, we can see that the jig though has to go that way. So we'll start with that. And those look pretty close. So when we move to the back, before I even take any measurements, I'm going to move to the back and just do the same thing on the back and just eyeball it up. This plumb bob is sitting center, or pretty close to center, over top of the outside rail. And that one has drooped some. Let me fix that. And this one over here is sitting on that 90-degree, or that corner bracket I put in there. So slide this over to the left, which actually might have been a little too far. This one's just outside the weld, and this one now looks like it's about 1 inch. So about 1/4 of an inch. It's close. Get that to come back down some. The back looks pretty close, even there. So let's go back up front, see if we moved anything up front. And it doesn't look like the front really moved too much. You guys might have saw it because. So let's see where we're at here again. We're at 6 1/8. See what this side is over here. We're at 6 inches on this side. So yes, I said it doesn't have to be that precise, but I'm going to move it over that 1/16 of an inch to make that change. And that probably did it. And don't hit them because it's hard to move it. So now I didn't move it too much. Another tap. That was too much. Now we're at at 6 inches, so. Another tap back that way. Leave it at that probably. Oh. And we're back on 6 inches here, which is probably going to put this one over. We're back at 6 1/8 again. So, I mean, 1/8 of an inch for this is not going to matter. It's not going to matter at all, but I'm not going to get it. If I keep hitting the plumb bob, I'll never get it done. But so we're at 6 1/8 of an inch on the right side of the car here. This one from the outside is sitting at still 6 inches. If it stays like that, I'm good with the front end. 1/8 of an inch. Again, this has no bearing on building the car. Let's see where we're at with the back. Again, they don't look like doesn't look like I moved the jig itself too much. So let's steady those and see where we're at with these. We're at 3 1/8 right there. Let's check the other side. And we're at 3 1/2 over here, so I definitely want to go that way some. Again, not too much, but it's also going to throw off. It's going to make that front move, more than likely. Almost 3 1/4. Oh, way too much. Yeah, way too much. So back over we go. See what that does. So we're at 3 1/4 again there, and let's see what we're at here again. And we're at 3 3/8. So there we go. I mean, we're within 1/8 of an inch again on the rear. And I'm okay with that, and it's actually just shy of that. One more time up front. We're still at 6 inches on that one. And we actually put this one at 6 inches. This is the front in between the two spots of the frame rail where I dropped the plumb bobs. It's 6 inches on both sides. Do I mess with the back? I'm not going to mess with the back. The 1/8 of an inch off on the back end is not going to matter. The front end's right at 6 inches on both sides. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to take this white paint pen here, and leave myself a mark. There's a reference mark, which really, again, doesn't need to be done, but I'm doing it. Again, I'm just marking these as a reference point. It's not anything specific or any reason why, except I can go back if I bump this while I'm welding the car up and realign it. That's all this is for. That one. Get this side over here. It's still moving too much. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. We have the car leveled off, the frame jig leveled off, and the frame jig squared up to the car. Welding the car to the frame jig, especially a car that is in this condition. You guys saw underneath how much rust is there. It's going to take a little bit of time of cleaning and finding strong structural areas that we can weld the car and hold it down securely until we get those parts repaired. I am going to tonight look for a floor pan and try and get the floor pan ordered and on its way here. We're doing a complete floor pan replacement as well as in the trunk. There's a lot of other parts that we're going to have to replace, completely replace as well, but I know right off the bat we're doing those. The front fenders, the front bumper, things like that. We're going to metal work the fenders. There's a material that they sell. I'm not even sure what it's called. I'll have to figure that out when we get to that point, but there's a flexible material that they sell that you can fix these bumpers with. The aftermarket ones are fiberglass, and I don't want fiberglass. This is the original bumper. We're going to keep it and we're going to fix that. We do have fiberglass work to do on the hood of the car, but I'm getting way ahead of it. We'll get the car in the next video welded up to the frame jig, start taking parts off, and hopefully by then I'll have the floor pan in here. And once we get the floor pan here, we can start cutting apart the car, get the parts off, start cutting the car apart, and start putting new parts on. So again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.